For those of you online, thank you for joining, and good evening to all of you on Amberland, fellow Ambazonians. There is growing evidence that the frustrations and desperations of the colonial regime in Yaoundé for an ill-advised war are increasing by the day as we make gains in the defense of our territory, the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia, and of course, progress towards the actualization of our independence. Our successful efforts to defend the October 1st, 2017 Declaration of Restoration of our statehood, the desecration and killing of 20th May celebrations in our territory, La République du Cameroon's recent confrontations and attempts to bully the United States ambassador in Yaoundé, the British Parliament and Australian government's demands for explanation on the abuses being perpetuated against Ambazonians by the regime are terrifying them. All these factors, they are giving the regime sleepless nights in Yaoundé. No doubt, Issa Chiroma now says they are the victims. La République du Cameroon cannot believe they are losing the war to a tattered amateur community defenders. They see Ambazonia restoration forces about taking territories, and they are scared to death. They have resorted to some of their old tactics, some of their old weapons, false propaganda, misleading messages. The regime is now trying to cause it up to the Francophone population in their country. Francophones throughout this conflict have refused to question the rationality of this war on the southern Cameroons. But seeing their sons and daughters returning home in body bags from the war, they are beginning to question the legitimacy of they are beginning to question the legitimacy of the war. And to assuage the anger of its own people, La République du Cameroon has embarked on propaganda and systematic misinformation. Most of you by now have learned of allegations that Kofi Annan, former Secretary General of the United Nations, is currently carrying out mediation exclusively between Paul Biya of French Cameroon and President Sisikou Julius Ayuktabe of the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. This interim government would like you to rest assured that there is no iota of truth about that allegation or information. It is false and thus fake. It has actually been brought to our attention that the story was concocted, paid for, and planted in French Cameroon media by the regime in Yaoundé to send the impression to its Francophone citizens that it is now in the middle of negotiations with Sisikou Julius Ayuktabe. Again, that information is false. It is not true. No form of negotiation is going on with anybody who is involved in this interim government, not with Sisikou Ayuktabe. The interim government reached out to the Kofi Annan Foundation in Switzerland today to inquire about the said negotiations. The foundation said they have not as much as been contacted by anybody for any form of negotiations or dialogue. They said the news of the mediation involving Kofi Annan came to them too as a piece of surprise, and they were working on putting out a press statement to debunk the allegations. The interim government spoke to one of the editors of the media houses which aired the story about negotiations between Sisikou, Biya, and Kofi Annan in Dakar. The editor too denied having any knowledge about such information and said there was no awareness, or said he wasn't aware that such information went out even from their own media. The reporter on his part said he saw the information, now get this clearly, he saw the information on some social media and used it without proper vetting or verification. He has since also maintained that the piece of information is false and misleading. Again, that information about some negotiations ongoing between Sisikou Julius Ayoktabe, our president, and Paul Biya is false and it is misleading. And I want to say this, I want to add this. It is very important that we all on the social media platform be very watchful of the information we cling onto. Not every piece of information on the social media is verifiable. And so when you have not heard anything confirmed from your interim government, please ignore it unless you hear otherwise from the interim government. Fellow Ambazonians, this interim government can never, ever emphasize its position enough on this subject of negotiations with La République du Cameroon. In a conflict, mediation cannot come to one of the parties by surprise. It is arranged and planned for. The parties must know and accept the mediation, the mediator, and the location. But in this case, the interim government has not been contacted nor approached by anyone. We would also like to make it unequivocally clear that President Sisikou cannot unilaterally negotiate from behind bars the fate of over 8 million Ambazonians. For any negotiations involving Sisikou to be legitimate, they, and I mean all of them, including Penterens, the Mancho BBC of Ambazonia, who are still behind bars, who are detained, must first of all be released. They cannot negotiate in chains. Ambazonians, I'm sorry, they cannot negotiate in chains. Any form of negotiation settlement between La République du Cameroon and the detained leaders must be reached outside of their confinement. That must be done as free men and women. This interim government remains the face of the revolution. And so any group of persons entering into any form of arrangement with La République du Cameroon or participating in any form of arrangement with La République du Cameroon is an exercise in futility. It will be a waste of time and resources. I would like to report to you that in the days ahead, Acting President Dr. Sisikou shall be convening an all-Ambazonia consultative conference. The conference will bring together all the major stakeholders in the revolution. The conference shall have the stakeholders articulate our position going into any negotiations and possibly who should sit on that negotiation table. until the conference meets and comes out. We are appealing to every Ambazonian to consider any allegations of negotiations as false and misleading. We will not be in the habit of coming out every time there are rumors out there about negotiations to debunk it. The interim government shall duly inform the public when we are invited for such negotiations. That means until you hear it from us, until you hear from the interim government, do not believe anything you hear out there. Put all rumors about negotiations to rest unless you hear from your interim government. And remember, we will live free or die fighting. Again, thanks for sitting in for the presentation. I will now spend a few minutes to answer some of the questions that you may have on this topic or this subject. I am really excited about the enthusiasm for this broadcast. I see 1,900 people. Thank you so very much. Keep on sharing the link as I take the questions. Please, again, back in the studio, if you can get, if it is possible for you to have this screen rolling for me. I don't know whether it's my computer or yours that is freezing the screen from rolling. Please do so that I can see the questions that are being put out here. Again, I really want to spend a few moments to see I can answer any questions that come in here. And you can go ahead and call, actually, call through Facebook. If you can call through Facebook, and I will answer and ask your question. Do not call if you don't have a question. If you want to call with a question, please. You can go ahead and call, and I will answer the call. You don't have a question, do not call. You must call when you have a question. And if you want to put your question so I can read it on the screen, please you go ahead and do so. So go ahead and call if you can call. If you want to put your question on the screen, go ahead and do that. I'm going to take the first call right now. If it is not a question, please do not call. It's taking a little bit longer to connect. Please, you can do audio call, no video calling, please. Video call, no video calling. Video call, I will take audio calls, not video calls. So if you want to call, make it audio, not video, please. And I am really sorry with the screen here. I don't understand why the screen is not rolling. Okay, let me try to take this and see. Hello, sir.
Hello, sir.
Hello, sir. Please, I hear you. Go ahead and ask a question, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Secretary. This is Ochiba Nelson calling from Los Angeles. So
Thank
we
you.
want to know the position of the IG in relation to the new movement that is called Scope, and then I want to know what IG is doing try to maybe like those who are affiliating themselves with the Scope and also working with the IG, because we understand that Scope was launched by Atamilang, who is under suspension. We cannot accept any movement formed by somebody who is under suspension. That is Ochiwa Nelson from Los Angeles. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the question. Remember, I said from the beginning I would like to entertain questions on the negotiations subject. However, this is what I would say. I am not in the position right now to give you any answers on anything concerning Scope. The interim president will be addressing that question. The acting president, I mean to say, will be addressing that question, I think, as early as maybe sometime today or tomorrow. I do not want to preempt what he has to say, but please, be it on you to wait and until the president addresses it. Once he does that, I will be at liberty to come out and say a few things about Scope. Thank you very much for calling. For those of you watching, you can also call on this same number, which is 603-682-2687. Again, 603-682-2687. You can reach me on this number since I'm having some difficulties on the Facebook page here. Call on the number. You can reach me on this number I've given you live. All right. Hello, sir.
Yes, this is Immaculate calling from Missouri.
Immaculate coming from Missouri. Thank you, ma'am. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
What's your question?
My question is on my trip to Biya.
Okay.
I wanted to ask that, are we...
I'm sorry, can you take the question again? I couldn't get you.
I'm asking that what is the state of my trip to Biya? Do we need to work extra hard?
Thank you.
Or we are almost achieving our goals?
Thank you for the question. I would like to hang up on you so that I answer the question and take other calls. Can I do that?
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Thank you. She's asking about my trip to Biya, how far we have gone with that. My trip to Biya is still ongoing. And again, I just gave you a number. If you have not paid the trip, call this number, 682-234-0465 to make your donation or to buy your ticket. Again, that number is 682-234-0465 to make your donation. As far as the state of the donation is concerned, again, we are still accepting donations, and we are going to extend it to another 1 month, which means till the end of June, so that everybody who has not had a chance to pay for the trip can do so. Thank you very much for the question. I'll take the next one. Hello?
Hello.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. This is I'm calling from Ohio. I want to put a question to Cris, Annan, the Communication Secretary.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
Yes, my concern is on the issue of a negotiation. I want to find out the position of the interim government in an event of a negotiation with the Republic. What is the strategy that the interim government has put in place?
Thank you.
We're going to allow ourselves in a situation whereby we'll be caught off guard and maybe we'll go and commit as well as like the former mess. So
thank you, sir.
That is my concern.
Thank you. And thank you. And what's your name again?
My name is Ega Ephraim. I'm calling from Ohio.
Ega Ephraim from Ohio. Thank you. Can I answer the question, please?
Then my second question is, what is the effort being made by IG to ensure that Ayabachu and the other girls are being brought to the fold so that we work as one. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So the question is, what is the IG doing in preparations for these negotiations to avoid another Fumban? And what is being done to include other leaders of the revolution in the negotiations? Now, the first thing, the answer to both questions is this. I made mention in my presentation that the acting president will, in the days ahead, be putting together an all Ambazonia consultative conference. That conference will bring together members of all the leaders in this revolution. And once they sit there in that conference, they will come out with the modalities for any form of negotiation that will be taking place with La République du Cameroon. And of course, again, you can rest assured that with all those leaders sitting on that conference table, that means they will not be excluded from participation at that negotiation. Thank you. Hello, sir. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Yes, sir. You have a question?
Good, sir.
Sorry, I lost that call there. Let's see, other calls coming in. Then I read Mike Ngunurai, why is the IG not asking viewers to reach out to U.S. ambassador during this time he is being bullied? Mike, we are actually asking every Ambazonian to reach out to the U.S. ambassador for appreciation, not only U.S. ambassador, even the U.S. government for appreciation. Thank you. I take the next question here. Hello?
Am I on SCBC?
You are on SCBC, sir.
Okay. Can I ask a question? Hello?
Go right on, please.
Okay.
May I get your name and where you're calling from, sir?
Okay, good evening, Chris. I'm Francis Wending. I'm calling from Paris.
Calling from Paris. Thank you.
Yeah, so my question is not really related to the Sisikou Republic negotiation stuff. It's just a strategic question. And permit me to ask it, please. My question is this. In this struggle, what actions is the IG taking towards France to, like, some kind of give France the guarantee that an independent Southern Cameroon would not mean a danger for France? On the contrary, it would be a relationship, a win-win relationship. Because when we look at the situation presently, France has a big role to play in the whole of this struggle, and we cannot just ignore France. So what is the guarantee the IG, or what is the strategy the IG is adopting towards France to, like, some kind of give them a guarantee that, look, we don't mean any danger towards you people?
All right, thank you. I think the question is understood, sir. Thanks for calling again. And that was Francis calling from France. And he is asking, what is the interim government doing to work with the French in this revolution to guarantee that the French do not see us as a threat? Please, caller, can you hold, please? So this is the answer to Francis' question. Francis, I appreciate your question, but I will say there are certain things we cannot discuss in the public. These are issues concerning diplomacy, which I cannot discuss them publicly, but you can rest assured that we are taking your concerns very much into consideration. In due season, you will find out what the IG is doing in that respect. Thank you very much. May I know where you're calling from, sir?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hi. Hello.
Mola Wunja from London. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. And you?
Good to hear your voice.
Yes, thank you very much.
And was a Christian, sir?
Yes, it's just a question concerning the negotiation. I think I presume making a negotiation does not mean they should take all the leaders. I think arranging for the negotiation does not mean to choose the leaders. I think negotiation needs experts, those who have the experts in the field of negotiation. And they should choose people for the various counties. Let the counties choose their people to go and negotiate to avoid 1972 Former Conference mistake, to avoid it. They should not choose leaders. Leaders does not mean you are leader in group, means you know how to negotiate. That is what I'm saying.
All right.
Choosing by the people of the various counties.
All right. Thank you very much for the call, Mola. Thank you so much. Can I answer it now, please?
Yes, please.
All right. I will put you off to answer it so that I can I can release the line for others who are trying to call.
All right, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, caller, can you hold, please? Hello? Hello? And so let me get to Mola's question about who represents us at any negotiation. Can you hold, please?
Okay. Hello?
Can you hold, please?
Yes, please.
All right, hold. So I am going back to answer Mola's question as to who represents us in any negotiations if and when they are called. It's very simple. Mola, you cannot have it both ways. If you want if you want the groups to represent us or every group to be on the table, you cannot then say every county should send representatives to that negotiation table. I think the answer is simple. We, or the acting president, is putting together this all Ambazonia consultative forum, and that forum will consist of all the major players, all the major groups in this revolution. And once they get there, they will choose who represents or who sits on that table. It's going to be a unanimous agreement between all of them, so that by the end of the day, nobody comes out saying, "Oh, we were left out." No, that is not going to happen, and this is not going to be an IG affair. It is going to be a revolution's affair. Everybody is going to be taken into consideration. Thank you very much for the question, and I'll take the next one. Hello. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, hello, can you get me?
I can hear you, sir. Go ahead and ask the question.
Okay, it's not too much of a question, but it's my own part of proposals that I think while we are preparing for whatever talks that okay, my question is this.
Okay.
Yeah, my question is this. While we are thinking of going for any negotiation, what are the modalities that we have put to see that those that are still in jail have been released?
All right, thank you, sir. Can I answer the question?
And then secondly, I don't think Cameroon should be the people to propose where they want us to go, because anywhere they want us to go will be a place where they have done all their preparation, in a place where we'll be unable to do what we are supposed to do. So I believe we should be the people to decide which nation
this talk to hold, because any French-speaking country that this talk is going to hold is going to be a fiasco.
All right, thank you, sir. I get your suggestion and your question. If I may take a minute to answer it now. Thank you for calling.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, so the caller is asking what steps are we taking to make sure that our leaders are out of jail before any form of negotiations can take place. And he is also insisting that La République du Cameroon must not be the party that decides where the negotiation takes place. And as far as the first question is concerned, the IG or the interim government has said there can be no negotiations until every single Ambazonian behind bars, not just Sisikou and Tasang Wilfred and Mancho BBC and Terence parents, not just these ones, but every single Ambazonian who has been arrested because of this conflict, they must all be released. It's a must. They have to all be released before we can even consider any invitation for some form of negotiations. And as far as location for or venue for the negotiation is concerned, of course, it doesn't matter who proposes what. What matters is what we say. We would have to accept the location for any form of negotiation to take place. So we're not worried about who proposes the location. We would have to be satisfied. The interim government and other parties involved would have to be satisfied with the location and, of course, the mediators before we can give a go-ahead to any negotiations. Thank you very much. Hello. All right. I see Mandolin Biya writes, representation for negotiations could still be seasoned diplomats from foreign countries. Well, I will leave that to the team that sits together to decide the modalities on our side. And I see Patricia, as you brainstorm back home, send your ideas to the IG. We will have to pull all our brains and create the most awesome country for us. You are very much correct, Patricia. All right. Again, I will spend a few more minutes. Again, if you have a question, call the number I gave you. Some people have been trying to call. You can call again. And I will still spend a few more minutes to answer any question relating to the interim government and the negotiations. Unfortunately, those of you who are posting questions on the screen, the comments on my screens are not rolling for me to be able to answer or to take your questions. But if you call, I will be able to do that. Call the number 603-682-2687. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, is it SCBC?
This is SCBC, sir, and you are on with Secretary Cris, Annan.
Yes. Good day, sir.
Thank you. What's the question, sir?
Yes, my name is Sisikou. I'm calling from the United Kingdom.
And your names are what?
Kingsley.
Kingsley Ebon. Okay, what's the question, sir?
Yes, sir, I just want to know what is the Indian government doing to come out with its own government? What is President Western waiting to constitute its own government? Because at this point, we believe that he is supposed to come that has been adopted.
Okay, so what is you are asking? What is acting President Sisikou doing or waiting for to form his own government? Correct?
Yes.
All right. Now this is the answer to your question. You remember that this government is still called the interim government, and the president of the interim government is President Sisikou Ayuk Julius Tabe. This is still his government, and we are having an acting president who is sitting in for him. The acting president can only carry out changes when need be, when there are vacancies that would need to be filled. And so that is why he is not going out to dissolve the government in its entirety to form a new government. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
I respect that position, but at this point, there are a lot of moles in this government. And we can say that Sisikou constitute a new government that will be inclusive.
All right, thank you very much. I will let you go so I can release the phone to take other callers. Thanks for calling, sir.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Hello.
Yes, Secretary Cris, this is Kingsley.
Thanks for calling, Kingsley.
My pleasure talking with you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, let me appreciate the good effort and what you've been doing so far.
Thank you. Just go ahead and ask the question so that I can release the phone for other callers, please.
Yes, I want to get straight to the question concerning Sisikou.
Okay.
We have submitted an internal memo. We wanted to know, a lot of people are writing to us to know what is the position of the IG with respect to Sisikou in terms of international lobby within the United States as pertains to the struggle.
All right, thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry to say I cannot answer that question right now because there are certain things I cannot put them out in the public here. I hope that makes sense to you.
Okay.
Thank you very much for calling. Hello.
Yeah, hello. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir, and thanks for calling. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Italy, sir.
From Italy. Thank you. And what's the question, sir?
Yeah, I do not really have questions. I just want to add to what you said earlier that not everything is to be brought on Facebook or on the media. So I want to thank and congratulate the IG for that. There are certain things that are kept for diplomacy, as you said earlier. And I want also to add here that for my trip to Biya extension, people should understand that it is for the better of the struggle, that they should not worry or ask questions as to why is it being postponed again and again. It is for the better of the struggle. It is being done so that the amount of money that is required is attained, so that what is required should be done and done in a way that there will be no regrets and that will find ourselves straight in Biya. So revolutionary greetings to you, sir, to the interim government, to all those who are fighting for this great struggle, winning struggle, if I may say. Thank you for the great job you're doing. We are all behind you, and I am receiving this opportunity to tell all to go to www.mytriptobiya.com and pay their dues and subscribe on daily basis. Give the little you can, always, and we will gradually reach what we want and reach Biya. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you again for that word. Yes, we are not extending the period for my trip to Biya because we are desperate. We are doing so that everybody out there who has not yet paid for the trip can do so, have the opportunity to do so. Some are waiting for their paychecks, some are waiting to get some funds come in, and some are still struggling to actually find out how they can actually do so. Again, I left a number here on the screen, and that number is 682 682 234 0465. Again, the number is 682 234 0465. That is the number you can call. Call that number from ground zero, from anywhere that you are, and you will be assisted on how you can buy your trip for Biya. Thanks for the call. And again, please do not call on Facebook. I cannot accept calls on Facebook. I have some technical problems with that. Thank you. Hello, sir. Hello, good evening, sir. Hello. 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 Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
This is SCBC, sir, and you are watching Secretary Cris.
Yes, I have a question, please.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, I just want to make a comment regarding what Yaoundé. So, from my point of view, he said, they could not come in until if any of the parties could call them to come in for negotiation. So my question is there a means which the interim government can negotiate, can take that initiative to address them, to approach them, to see if they can come for help? Because we know we are waiting for the Cameroon government. I don't know when they will ever come for our rescue.
Thank you, sir. So in other words, you are saying the IG should take the initiative to reach out to the diplomats or what?
Yes, with the US government.
Yes.
The ambassador is representing the US government. So in his interview with the people with him, so
all right.
they are only watching, they cannot come in.
All right, thank you for the question. Thank you for the question. I will answer the question off the phone so I can free the lines for others to call. Thank you. And so this question is, why can't the IG approach the U.S. ambassador, the U.S. government, to be able, to approach them to see if we can initiate negotiations? Again, these are classified issues which I cannot discuss them right here on the air. But when the moment comes, you will know who we are approaching. You will know whom we are talking to right here, right now. I cannot speak to that. But thanks for the call. All right, it is almost top of the hour, and I am going to go off the air. I want to thank all of you watching from ground zero, and I want you to know we are looking out for you. I cannot take any more calls, please. Thank you for calling. But again, for those of you who are watching from ground zero, I want you to know that this interim government is looking out for you. Remain resilient, resist, stand your ground. We will continue to do so until our territory is totally under our control and until our flag is raised permanently in the Prime Minister Lodge in Biya. And for our boys who are defending our territory, doing all that they can, sleeping in the bushes, and for all of you who have lost your homes and you are hiding in refugee camps and in the bushes, we want you to know better days are ahead. Because of you, there is no way this interim government is going to give up on this revolution. So we encourage you, remain strong and know that this battle will be won. We must live free or die. Thanks for tuning in today.